From the Mapleview Animal Hospital studios, this is the WHTC Morning News with Gary Stevens and Peg McNichol on 99.7, 1450 WHTC and WHTC.com.
And we welcome you back to the WHTC Morning News for this Thursday, September 10th. Thursday mornings, we usually have a chance to chat with R-Zeeland Congressman Bill Huizenga. He joins us on the other end of our Zoom connection this morning. Bill, good morning and happy September. We missed you last week.
Yeah, good morning, Gary. And the fall came in with quite a vengeance here, didn't it, the last couple of days?
But again, it's after Labor Day, and let's put it this way: to get in the proper frame of mind after Labor Day, we got to have that type of weather.
It is definitely football weather. Finally, that's going to be happening. Not quite sure how kids are going to be running on the soccer field and the football field wearing masks, but at least the governor came to her senses enough to realize that running cross country doesn't require, causes some problems wearing a mask, and maybe golf and tennis might not be quite the contact sports that she imagined, but we're making progress.
We got a few things to talk about with Bill Huizenga, some that's going on in Congress and some a little bit on the political side. But we'll start first with the congressional stuff. You are, of course, in your base of operations in the district right now. It looks as if Congress will be reconvening in terms of the House next week and the stimulus package that's supposed to be going on. Let's just say it's having some problems in the Senate, and even if it clears the Senate, it looks like it's going to be DOA if it goes back down to the House.
Well, the House has, let me be clear. The Democrats in the House have spoken. They want a $3 trillion package. That is their baseline. In fact, Speaker Pelosi wanted it to go up from there. The Senate is looking at a $1 trillion, quote, skinny bill that may pass. There's a lot of economic numbers that are saying that maybe the direct stimulus isn't necessary, or the full extension of unemployment, that kind of thing. But regardless, when the House has a $3 trillion with a T, $3 trillion bar, Speaker Pelosi has laid out pretty clearly she's not willing to go where the Senate wants to go. So I don't think anybody's really truly serious about passing additional PPP help. I mean, because we've got restaurants and hospitality and movie theaters that are just getting crushed right now economically because of the numbers and the health concerns. You just can't make the math work when you've got your capacity's half of what it used to be. It's a shame we're not taking care of that. We're not addressing that. We're not doing a number of things that I think ought to be done. But you may have noticed there's some elections going on, and that is causing people to slide into some kind of less than productive modes, shall we say.
Yeah, with the election less than 2 months away, and a lot of eyes on that. We've talked about it not only with you in Congress, we've talked about it with you in the state legislature when you were in the last decade with the Granholm administration, yeah, kicking the can down the road. And the continuing resolution is going to keep the government running past the end of the month. But as you say it best, and I think of you every time I hear about these two continuing resolutions, we're kicking the can down the road.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. We are slated to go back to Washington for the next 3 weeks. We're going to be voting on some very important bills like legalizing marijuana. That's one of the priorities in the House. Meanwhile, if we don't get our funding put in place, the government shuts down and has a lapse of spending at the end of the month. So I'm hoping that that's what the focus is. We are very unlikely to reach a full agreement with the House and the Senate and the White House. So it looks like we're going to be doing this continuing resolution, which is funding all the current programs at their current level beyond the fiscal year, which is the end of September. So that'll bring us into October, November. There's usually how this has worked in the past is they'll put it somewhere late November or into December. And quite honestly, I think everybody's sort of waiting to see what the results of the election will be. Speaker is counting on a Biden administration so that she can go in and get more of the priorities of the House Democrats. Obviously, the Trump administration is hoping for a win, which would then put them in a better position and a better spot. Obviously, I'm hoping we're back in the majority in the House of Representatives. That will change things around quite a bit as well. So everybody's sort of moving the political chess pieces. Meanwhile, good government's suffering the consequences.
We're talking with Zeeland Republican Bill Huizenga, Congressman from the 2nd District of the state of Michigan, 5-term incumbent, and he is running for re-election against Brian Berghoff in the November 3rd general election. Statements attributed to President Trump the last 2 weeks have gotten a lot of political mileage. First in the Atlantic last week, and now Bob Woodward coming out with some of the statements having taped evidence to back up his claims as he's about ready to put out a new book. Step right up. The piñata that is Donald John Trump is being used by a lot of people these days.
Yeah, the October surprise. It's amazing how all this always comes out the September, October timeframe right before an election. It is interesting. In fact, I just pulled it up today. Politico, this is the headline from Politico, which is one of the Washington newspapers. Fauci denies hearing Trump distort facts on coronavirus. So everybody knows that the coronavirus is deadly for a segment of the population. We also know, the CDC and others have acknowledged, that the fatality rates of it are very low when you only look at coronavirus versus who has an underlying condition. That's undeniable. And frankly, back in March and in April and even going into May, we have gotten so many conflicting things as policymakers from healthcare folks. It's hard to know exactly what the protocols should be because they have changed based on what we know. And guess what? We don't put coronavirus victims on automatically put them on a ventilator like they did at one point. So obviously lots of information on that. I'm not sure that I see anything quite as startling as Bob Woodward is hoping it's going to be for his book sales. That's why the guy does it. What I can't figure out is why people grant him interviews at all. I don't care. This happened with Bill Clinton. This happened with Barack Obama. Bob Woodward is bent on one thing: selling books. And then you look at that Atlantic article. Just as many people from the administration who were with him and from the military have debunked that as who affirm it. And Gary, I'm just afraid at this point people aren't even trying to be rational. And I don't know exactly what the truth is, and nobody else does either, unless they were sitting next to the president, unless they were actually there. I do know I was supposed to be at that ceremony. It was the 100th anniversary of the ending of World War I in Paris, and talking to my colleagues who were there, and I wasn't able to make it that trip. It was important to me because my grandfather fought in World War I. My namesake fought in World War I. But I do know, and subsequently when I went back to D-Day, the D-Day celebration or remembrance, we visited that same cemetery. And one of my colleagues who was along on that was telling me how awful the weather was. And and how they were grounding helicopters, and how they had even a problem just driving out to the place. It's quite a ways outside of the core city of Paris, and it's up into the hills. It overlooks Paris. You know, at the end of the day, I think this is more about people trying to sell magazines and books.
He is Zeeland Congressman Bill Huizenga. He joins us on most Thursday mornings to talk a little bit about what's going on in Washington. And Bill, if all goes well, let's do this again next Thursday morning, hopefully from D.C. And I wish you a safe trip there, and I thank you very much for your time this morning. Thank you, sir.
Hey, thanks, Gary, and hopefully we'll have a little more progress for you to report. I'm hoping we can do that. So we'll talk next week.
Well, thank you very much, Bill Huizenga on 99.7 and 1450 WHTC.